Is my is my sound still clear? Oh Lord, I'm still so scared of. Okay, damn. That was I was so. Who's still everyone, even me? Honestly, I still don't know. I still don't know. All right, but yay, I'm finally here. I'm finally doing this presentation, and if we are lucky, the presentation will only be 35 minutes because it's 35 slides. I'm joking. Um, okay, so hi guys, it's me, the English LangLit host. Um, I'm Lex. Yeah, there's a lot. It's because I'm going through everything. I really am. There will be a break though, because I don't want you guys getting burnt out, because Lord knows I was burnt out when I was studying all this. Um, so this is gonna be a paper one and paper two session. It's not gonna be that intense, and you guys don't have to like do anything. If you want, you can just sit here and relax. Yeah, I know. 1 minute, one question. I'll try not to do it like that though. But yeah. Last year I hosted revision sessions for paper two, but I did not do paper one. So this is my first time hosting paper one since M21, May 21. So damn, it's been a while. But yeah, I'm Lex. Here are my credentials. I was a former LangLit helper, and I took HL LangLit. I do not know if most people in this call are SL or HL, but either way, it doesn't matter. You're still gonna learn something from the presentation, I'd assume. And personally, I like paper two better than paper one, but that's a story for another day. I currently take music and creative writing at university, but that's not important to English language papers. But hey, I wanted to talk a bit about it. I got a six. I was 1 mark off a seven when I got it remarked, and then I was like, you know what? I ain't doing this stuff anymore. I was like, you know what? The six is fine. The six is okay. Okay, so what is our agenda for this glorious afternoon on my end, because because I live in the eastern side of the world. I'll be going over the basics of each paper. It's just an overview of both paper 1 and paper 2, and then I'll be going over revision strategies. So you're going to learn how to outline, guys, or if you know already how to outline, which I hope you know because then we're going to, I guess, revise it, and then I'm gonna go over more paper specific tips. Yes, I will teach you how to write the intro, conclusion, and body. Don't worry about that. Well, not really teach, but it's gonna be here. I'm gonna cover that stuff in detail, and you guys will have the opportunity to ask questions if needed. Um, and after those outlining and revision strats, we are actually gonna cook the meal, which is the paper, writing the paper. Oh yeah, I hope your two becomes a five. I'm praying for you, man. Let's go. Five, 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 manifest. So I'm gonna talk about what you actually have to do in writing the paper, because it's different to theorize the outline, and it's different to actually execute your ideas. And then we will have an activity for both papers. You guys do not have to do the activity, but please maybe do, because I spent time and effort. Not the spent time and effort. But yeah, that's pretty much it for both paper one and paper two. Not the session, just the agenda. We're gonna go for paper one first today. So what is the overview of paper one? What are you guys gonna do in paper one? Well, if you're HL, you have the disadvantage. You have 2 hours to write two separate essays for both texts given. I'm sure you guys all know this by now, but it is not comparative. You must write two separate textual analysis if you're HL, and it's kind of sad because HL you only have 1 hour each, but SL gets 1 hour and 30 minutes to write an analysis for just one of the texts. So SL, use that 1 hour and 30 sharp, please. You need to like outline and stuff. But overall I think it's pretty doable, especially if you use an outline, which we'll go over. And as a reminder, this is Langlit, so you will not get non-literary text. Please do not think that you're gonna get Carol Ann Duffy or Persepolis. Don't think that you're gonna get the screenplay of Everything Everywhere All at Once or some Ocean Vuong book in the paper one. You're not gonna get that. That's literature. You're gonna get stuff like ads. You're gonna get political cartoons, etc. I'm gonna go over a list of text types later, but that's not the most important thing. So what is the paper one essentially all about? For me, it's about authorial choices. how is meaning conveyed through the different features of a text that is given. So it's an unseen paper, so you don't know what the heck these texts are going to be. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out from reading and annotating the text, what is the author trying to convey here? What is the purpose of this message? And what does that imply then about why the author uses those certain words? Yes, the session is being recorded. Don't worry about it. I promise I've done my best to record this stuff, I swear. You know, now that you've said that, I'm gonna check it again to make sure it's recording so that just for the sake of you guys, yep, it's recording. Oh, thank the Lord. I just wanted to make sure because there have been times where I forgot to record. But to be fair, the presentation is really text heavy, so even without my voice, you already are learning stuff through the memes. I'm sorry. I put memes. That's my way of educating the masses. Okay. Okay, so these are basically reminders for paper one. These are general reminders. I remember when Zach, if you guys know Zach, the LangLit helper, he also did some general reminders for his paper one session for May 22, I believe. Um, so I'm just gonna go over some of this. Ah, yeah, there is a link to the presentation in the English LangLit channel, of M24. I will pull it again later. Alright, so number one, guys, devices are not necessary to memorize. I know that there might be some of you who are like, oh man, I have to memorize alliteration and parallel structures and etc. etc. You don't have to explicitly memorize the exact concept. You have to understand the concept and how to apply it in your analysis. Yeah, like I've been told by my language teacher several times that if you don't know what what the device being used is in a certain text, if as long as you just describe the device and then you show how that conveys a certain meaning, like look at the evidence and then show, oh, this device conveys this that through the use of this that, then that should be fine. You don't have to say, oh, it uses pathos or logos or rhetorical appeals. You don't need to say the exact specific concept. It's more about your understanding of it. Even if it's rudimentary, if you can put that up, then that is something that will garner you points in the paper one. uh, I will be going over that in a bit. Don't worry. Yeah, this paper one session is extensive with the techniques that you guys will have to look at. Okay, sorry, I'm nervous. It's been a while. Okay, so evidence. Evidence is key. What does that mean? I think I went over this a little bit in the last point, but you will need to highlight your points with textual evidence. Criterion A is understanding and interpretation in paper one, and that is you are not going to show your understanding and interpretation if you don't put any textual evidence. So put your quotes, put whatever specific things of the website or advertisement caught your attention in the essay. Show your textual evidence, and that's gonna, yeah, if it's an image, that's still stuff that you can describe. We're gonna go over that a little bit. Sorry, I'm spoiling the presentation, but I'm gonna go over visual elements. For example, in advertisements and in infographics, cartoons. I'll go over that in the latter part of this paper one part, because yeah, visual elements are part of it. Yeah, you could do something like that. I mean, don't just say the blue male means peace. You have to also say the blue male means peace, and this is used to convey the meaning that something, something, something. I don't know. I do not know what the blue male is, but yeah. So that's what it means in that context. Remember that you can always use those textual evidence or visual evidence, if you want to say that, in the essay. And then this is controversial. This is a me opinion. You don't need to follow this if you don't want to. I know some people are very strict with the guide question, and that's okay. You can follow the guide question as strictly as possible if that helps you. But also just note that you also don't have to follow the guide question to a T if you feel that you have reasonable points that can be measured up by textual evidence, then you don't need to fully explore the guide question. The guide question at the end of the day is a what is it? What do you call this? Guide question is a sorry. I got distracted by the soundboard. Please don't use the soundboard or whatever that was. Um, The guide question is more of a springboard. It's more of something that helps you garner ideas, but you don't need to follow it to T. If you have any other points, go for it. The question, as I said here, it's helpful for knowing what to look out for in the essay. So remind yourself that you're strong, sensitive, scared, and that you are capable of beating this paper one. This is not in the slide, but I want to remind you guys that at the end of the day, this is IB, and there is a lot more bigger things than this. So just breathe, relax. You're gonna get through. Believe in it. I was there. I was there. All right. So here we are. Text types. I asked this in the form when I first brought it out, and I looked at it the other day when I was finally making this presentation. I was like, oh my god, that's there's so many text types. Lord, I cannot go over all of them if I want to make this essay this revision session even slightly short. So here you go. This is from my May 21 revision session. It's just a list of text types, but after this slide, I'm gonna go through and look at two specific I guess like categories of text types, visual heavy and non-visual heavy, because I feel like that's the bigger picture of this, because when we look at all of this, that's a lot. How are you supposed to cram all of this? You can't. You have to have the tools at your disposal, even if you can't specifically look at all the textual features. So I'm gonna just not really dumb it down, but make it much more simpler for you guys. Yeah, I think you can guess the text type immediately. I mean, almost always, the text type reveals itself in the way it's presented. Like, you cannot just say that something that has a person holding a product and there's a slogan and a logo. You can't not say that it's an advertisement. It's absolutely an advertisement. The text type presents itself in the way that the text is structured and the form of the text. So yeah, I will go through all of this briefly so you guys are aware, but like I'm gonna list all of this down, but just know that at the end of the day, anything non-literary of a text type is possible in paper one. You are not going to um you cannot brute force your way through paper one by knowing all of the text types because it's just not possible. The IB can do a sneaky and suddenly get a text type that is like unheard of out of nowhere. But I've I guess made it a bit easier both on me and on you to put it down into two categories, which is the text heavy kinds of text types. So as that says here, this is stuff like news reports, articles, blogs, um even speeches. Those are all text heavy. And one thing that you would have to learn, not learn, to expound on in the essay is the purpose. Because overall, that's how meaning is conveyed. So you gotta talk about that. So, especially if it's stuff like a news report, the purpose of text heavy stuff is usually to inform or persuade an audience. Whoever that specific audience is, you will have to figure out yourself. But yes, that is usually the purpose of a text heavy text. Man, text. Okay, sorry. Got distracted. But okay. Text heavy texts, they can come from anywhere. I mean, newspapers, magazines, online blogs. They can come from all of that stuff. And as I said here, it can also come from the mouths of people if it's a speech. But IB will not give you a video. They will give you an actual text that is on the paper. So don't expect a video. um, if it's information based, so for example, if it's a feature article, so imagine the stuff you read on Time or the New York Post or I don't know, your local newspaper, whatever. The language and the diction that is used is probably a lot more objective and may include facts. There's usually a headline of some sort, if it's a blog or an article, and that leads into the main idea of the text. And then if it's more in the persuasion slash opinion side, so think editorials, think think of like music reviews, that kind of stuff. There would then be a mix of fact and opinion in the language used. There could also be quotes with people. That's actually true for both. But overall, things like calls to action. Calls to action is when you call for the audience to do something in synthesis with your main idea in the text, or rhetorical appeals, which I will get into. there is usually a specific topic in mind. And to be fair, this just this falls true across all ranges of text, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be a main idea that's being held. Okay, wait. I saw the message in M24 LangLit. I'll just pin it. Okay, let's go, moderator powers. Okay, back to the show. So yeah, that's text heavy stick. I know it's crazy. Magazines aren't really text heavy. It's more like articles and newspapers are found in magazines, and those things are text heavy. Magazines can have cartoons, magazines can have advertisements. It's just that these types usually come from those places. So at the end of the day, you could just list that down. It's like, oh, it's probably from this one, based on like the formatting of the text itself. Yippee! Your favorite visual heavy shtick. So what is visual heavy shtick? I don't know either. Joke, joke. This is stuff like advertisements. Why did I say it like that? God, advertisements, political cartoons, other prints. I don't know why I said prints. I feel like this is because I was buying art prints. Okay, that's not related to the session. Sorry, I'm rambling. But as said, things like advertisements, political cartoons, those are things that call into consideration visual heavy language. I saw comparative study and I just thought of film, but I don't think you're in film. But yeah, sorry, I was in film. So in terms of visual heavy shtick, because it's so focused on visual elements, it's much more probable that it's persuasion involved. So in terms of advertisements, buy product, buy this Coke, buy this fast food, buy this art. When it's a visual heavy thing like that, the visual elements are made more appealing and more simple so that you can buy a product. Or it can also information dump. I mean, you guys have all read comics. I really hope you guys have all read comics, if not Persepolis. Um, these cartoons, they're able to inform, not cartoons, but like cartoons, comics, these things inform people about whatever topics in such bite-sized ways in small visuals. There's the usage of text, of course, in these kinds of comics slash cartoons, but it's much less prominent than the visual aid that comes with it. Um, so when I think of visual heavy text, I would just I would probably just appeal to things, not appeal to things. I would probably just pay attention to things like imagery. I would pay attention to things like emotive language. When I say emotive language, I mean something like a slogan, and then the slogan is telling you to do something, and it's so emotive. It's like, damn, that thing makes me want to do the thing. That's what emotive language is. It doesn't need to be necessarily sad or happy or angry. Just it conveys a certain type of emotion or action. Celebrity appeal. So this is like when you see like celebrities doing sponsorships. So like for example, someone is doing like a, I don't know. Coke is in my mind. I don't know why Coke is in my mind. Just imagine some who's a famous celebrity? Just imagine like Mitski is holding a Coke. Although we know Mitski would not do that. Imagine Mitski is holding a Coke. That is celebrity appeal. Mitski fans will buy the Coke because Mitski is holding the Coke. Just imagine it's Taylor Swift. I don't know. I just went with the artist I knew first. I'm sorry. Just imagine your favorite musician. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I thought Mitski wasn't niche. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, back to the topic. Back to the topic. Ahem. And if it's an advertisement, most likely there will also be logos and slogans, and those are also things that you can lean into visual elements of. I think someone mentioned the rule of thirds, which to be fair, I do not remember what the rule of thirds is. Also, yeah, you can just imagine whoever artist you want, yeah. But yeah, those elements definitely play a part in terms of how a visual works, how a visual works, how visual elements play into these kind of text types. So remember those things when you go into your, because actually guys, okay, and this is the part, and this is why SL kind of, not to say SL has it easier, but SL kind of has the choice to choose, because most likely IB will give you the choice of a visual heavy text and text heavy text. It's not gonna be both text heavy or both visual heavy. There's more likely to be a balance of those things. Get you're in HL. But yeah, so HL and SL, you guys gotta know this. Just a question for when you get to it. Logos, icons, other drawn shit which are not images or characters. How can you go with analyzing that? That is a great question, and we are actually gonna get into that in a bit because I have an activity and I'm gonna tell you guys how to. And I'm actually the next slide is actually like elements, so we're gonna actually get into it. We're gonna get into what those things represent. So wow, suddenly English LangLit is becoming visual arts. VA students in the chat help me out. I'm joking. Um, this is taken from my M21 session. So things to consider: color, perspective, scale, size, and graphic weight and font. Now, what do these mean? I do not know. I'm joking. I do know. So first, color. So imagine there's an advertisement. There's most likely gonna be a certain theme to the colors shown, right? So let's say it's Coke again. I'm sorry, Coke is stuck in my head. I don't know, but it's gonna be the red and white and black, right? So that conveys a certain image. So why are those the colors that are used most? I mean, it's because it's Coke. What do those choices of colors represent and why? You can use your common stock knowledge for this. You can deduce it also from the other elements in the text. So yeah, let's say that one. Like what why is it red? And then you see the little hearts coming up from it. What does that then represent? To me it represents love and passion and Coke becomes love. Okay, sorry. That does not make sense. But right? There's a certain way that colors are used to influence the audience in some way, even if that's substantial. I'm so sorry. Even if that's in a like not as substantial way. At the end of the day, these are still things that you would have to consider. I will get to that question, Matt Supreme Leader, in a bit. I promise I'll get there. I promise. Just not right now, but I'll get there. Feel free to put it in the doc, which is in the English Langlit M24 chat. Sorry guys, my everyone who's attended my rev sessions before, I mean, I don't think any of you guys have actually attended my revision sessions before, but they were very chaotic. They were very spur of the moment, and I very much read chat out loud while I was doing the presentation. But yeah, we're back here. Okay. So scale, size, graphic weight. So if there are elements in the text, if there are figures in the image, how exactly are they proportioned? How exactly are they exaggerated or under exaggerated or just given a normal size in a way? Because that also might give us a clue into how much importance that element has to the image. And then, of course, you can look at what effect that has, what message is conveyed. Why? Why, Lord? Why did you make this a text? That's all that you can get from all of these different elements. It's very much the consideration of putting meaning to images. Exactly. Why is the door red? I don't know. I don't know if you guys see those GCSE TikToks where they're like they stop a robber and then they start going on about like, oh, your choice of language is not this or that. Like that's exactly what you do with this. You just like I'm not being a good revision session leader right now. I'm so sorry. Okay, no, back to this. Back to this, guys. We must. Perspective. All right. So perspective in terms of it is more of uh, the angle of the image itself, the photo itself. So, for example, are there elements in the background? Like if we go back to that Coke picture, why is the background blurry? That's perspective. Why is the frame center on the Coke? Again, that's perspective. And as it says here, what does the out of focus things mean versus the in focus things? So obviously the advertisement, or well, the Coke GIF that Vinik like kindly sent to the chat shows that the Coke is the most important thing in life. And so are the red hearts. Like those things are the ones that are in focus in the GIF. So those are the things that give emphasis to the Coke brand logo. Yes. And for font, I mean, yeah, if graphic design is your passion, you kind of just know font changes everything. Like I have ADHD. Sorry, this is such a tangent. What am I doing? Okay, so just imagine the difference between using Times New Roman and Comic Sans on a certain graphic. Like what does that then tell you about the text that's being shown? Like it could be the exact same thing. Like let's say it's me. Like Lex's session is so cool, and then if it was in Times New Roman, you would be like, oh my gosh, that's so boring. And then if it was in Comic Sans with like vibrant colors and all different colors, you'd be like, oh wow, this is a comical joke. That's so cool. Wow. Like it's very much evoking a certain atmosphere, even if you don't actually think about it. So for like visual heavy text, three elements you can take. Yeah, those are the elements that you can absolutely take into account in terms of visual heavy texts to ensure that the audience is, yeah. Absolutely. At the end of the day, those are like the more subtle elements of font. I know in real life we don't specifically pay attention to those things that much, but we do subconsciously take it into account. It's just less that we're writing it into words and we're actually analyzing it for the world to see, which is what we are being told to do in LangLit. So that's why, as I said here, it's also increasing comprehension or legibility. Like, tell me right now that you would that wait, what's a weird text, I let's say like chiller or impact, would that be much more impactful, not the impactful, impactful or much more legible if it was that versus something like Times New Roman Calibri. I'm sorry. Yeah, the focus is readability. Also, whoever is unmuted, please mute, please. I'm so sorry. It's distracting. But yeah, that's pretty much it for font on that end. Also, guys, if you really do want to ask questions and you were like, should I unmute? Just type it in muted chat one. I'm reading muted chat one constantly on my iPad, so that's what's more convenient for me. What did who is okay. All right. Um I would say any questions, but I feel like the any questions part is coming up. So we are gonna go now to something else, which is now looking at how you can analyze slash outline the paper. This is similar to what you've probably learned before, which is PEEL, which is point, evidence, something, evaluation, whatever, link. Um, but this is something that the OGs of the IB server came up with, which is tap dance, which honestly is a funner acronym in my opinion, and a much more insightful one because there's a lot more things to take into account, and also you can tap dance. So when you think of all of this, these are all things that you can take into account when looking at the broader perspective of a text, whether or not it's visual heavy or text heavy. So text type, again, what text type and the text type specific features are the text conveying. So like, okay, I'm not going to give examples, but if you guys have any questions about tap dance, put it in chat because I feel like this is kind of self-explanatory. Because author, who's the author? Who are they? Or what do they feel like based on like how the text was written? Because at the end of the day, sometimes you're not gonna know the author. IB doesn't just give you a whole background on the author. Sometimes you have to understand the author based on what was written. There's a purpose, which is again the overall message of the text. Why was this text written? Ah, no, this isn't really for the intro. This is more of just like a general analysis. I'll get into this later. But yes, thank you. Git. Sorry. Every time I see your nickname, I see Abby, and then I'm like, I almost call you Abby. Okay. Where was I? Devices. So this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Flex your knowledge. Talk about your rhetorical appeals. Talk of your alliteration, your symbolism, your themes. Talk about it all in the text. List them all down. That's what devices is. And then audience, of course, who exactly is the text talking to? Um, it can just be the general public, or if it's more specific, like if it's an advertisement, it might have a specific consumer in mind. So imply what the audience is, like because the audience actually has relation to um the implications of a text, like the deeper messages, because that's kind of a connection where the audience will show you where the underlying themes and messages that the text isn't explicitly saying are. So, as I said here, does your text relate to any additional audiences not originally intended? That's because at the end of the day, text can apply to everyone, and there might be certain audiences that was not entirely talked by in text that is shown to, is shown is like it can still be applicable to a certain audience, so you can still talk about those kind of audiences. Okay, narrative. Again, this is the ideas and messages conveyed in your text. So, what's the main idea? What's the whole topic? Why are we here? The difference between purpose and narrative is that purpose is practical. Purpose is about what is it trying to convey? Is it trying to persuade? Is it trying to inform? Narrative is the content. What exactly is being told here? What exactly is the narrative, as it says, that the text wants to convey? And then there's context. So what's the context in which the text was made? Even if you don't exactly have the context from the paper one, it's you can also ask yourself what is the context in which a potential audience member can interpret that. There's a lot of ideas of like, what if I don't understand the context because IB is not gonna give you the context in the exam, but it's more of just looking at the text itself and discerning um what it's meant to what it's meant to convey from that, because yeah, you can't understand the context entirely, but you should be able to discern what kinds of context the text might be coming from, what ideas it might be, that might be a background for what it's trying to say. Not really symbolism. Symbolism is a more paper two kind. Context is more of the background of it. Like it's where it's coming from. Like the text itself is the execution and the context is the starting point from it. So for example, imagine there's like an animal appreciation website. The context is that it's an animal appreciation website. And then it's talking about old people. Of course, that's the execution of something. But at the end of the day, because it's an I almost said animal execution website. I'm so sorry. Animal appreciation website. That's the main focus that like takes all of this into account. This website represents a website. No, we are not executing animals. Please, no. Yeah, for example, if it was a comic about the political situation in the US. Yeah, thank you, Git. That is exactly that's a good example right there. Yeah, because that's the context that you would see it in, especially for like political cartoons. Yeah, and then effect. That's the end of the line. What is the effect of all of this on the reader? Where have you gone to? So yeah, that's pretty much tap dance. If you guys have any more questions about tap dance, just write it in the doc. I will answer those questions later during the break. What does effect mean? Or what does effect in general? Um, effect is just about the audience and how all of these things relate to how it conveys meaning. So, for example, okay, let's do the political cartoon thing. So imagine it's about the political situation in the US, and that's the text itself. The effect is then what is it causing on you? What do you now feel, or what do you discern that a potential audience member can feel from that initial text? All of these things come together to be like, I mean, yeah, it could be. Like for example, if the text really is really logo centered, like it's logic centered. It focuses on facts. And there's a Trump supporter who at the end of the day would like facts and was very close to voting Biden, but like or well, I'm not an American, but like in that context, right? All of these come together to create a potential effect on the reader. It's very much like the end result of the overall text. Yippee. Oh no. Okay, sorry. Something just happened, but it's alright. Okay, next. Okay, guys, this is it. I think some people were asking about devices earlier in chat. I'm gonna go over this kind of these two kind of briefly because I feel like it's something you should have already studied in LangLit. And if you do need a reviewer, the presentation is there. You guys can still. Anaphora is when it's like repeated at the start of a thingy. To be fair, it's more emphasis. It's more emphasized in um poetry. So I feel like anaphora is, but it's still something that can be, you know, see in a text, like just repetition. You can just say repetition. Repetition legitimizes. So as I said here, this is what gives the text its vibe, because it's the style of the text. If you think about it, that's why it's stylistic devices. There's a lot of ways this can be drawn, but me and my previous revision session partner, Confuzz, we pointed out four ways that this could happen before. So number one, repeating things for emphasis. So for example, there's a speech and they say, or like, imagine your favorite song. I'm gonna put this in a song context because I'm a musician. That's what I do by heart. What is the thing that gets your attention? It's the chorus, and it's because the chorus is always repeated. It's the same in any text. Things are repeated for emphasis. So like it can be like, you got that transient daydream, and then it like repeats again and again, and that's the thing that catches in your head because it's repeated again and again. Don't underestimate the power of just simple repetition, which is something that things like speeches use. Even articles can use that as well. And yes, yeah, definitely more on the speeches side. If we think about repeating, that's less on the visual heavy side. It's more in the text heavy because you can see that repetition happen in real time. Um, Visual heavy texts are really more about, well, looking at the visuals. This is why this is more applicable to what's this? This is more applicable to text heavy parts. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say the I have a dream speech is an example of anaphora slash repetition, but I did not want to butcher the speech because the speech is not in front of me. But yeah, Martin Luther King's speech is a great example of that. So another thing is using specific words or phrasing to make the audience feel a certain way about something. I think I said this a while ago. Stuff that conveys a certain feeling, or like the diction itself is like giving sad, it's giving happy, it's giving angry. Those kinds of things are stylistic devices. So that's the choice of diction that you're using. Would this be like the use of died instead of passed away? Yeah, because if you think about it, passed away is a lot less personal. Passed away implies a bunch of impersonalness or formality. When it's died, it feels final. It feels a lot more like it's personal to who's saying it. That I know that sounds like bullshit, but at the end of the day, it's something that we feel, right? That when someone says died, we feel a lot more impact. That's why we as people say passed away versus died, because passed away in our head sounds a bit better to say, especially in a public context. Yeah, that's another thing. Like the usage of certain words like really changes the outcome of a sentence or even a whole text. Like versus love. That's exactly. Like you could say I like you, but that doesn't equate to love, and then you could say I love you, but that doesn't equate to like. That's life advice right there. Okay. So, um, and then there's also making words and phrases sound or look unique so that they can stand out. It says here alliteration slash assonance, but I think a non-literary context this can be applied to is in advertisements. So, for example, the usage of a slogan, that's something that has to be unique. That's something where both the diction and for some for example like the length of slogans or like the rhyming of slogans, those are things that make those phrases sound or look unique. So that's another way of stylistic devising the text. And then last and then last is like referencing things the reader is familiar with to help the reader better understand the point a writer is trying to make. So it's kind of like intertextuality, or like yeah, metaphors, similes, all that. Those are examples of a reference. So just think of your favorite film and just imagine that someone is referencing another piece of media in that film. That is an example of referencing things. That's a way of making a bid to the reader that you're connecting with them by showing that you know your audience. That's why I think this one in particular, intertextuality slash metaphors and similes, is very important in discerning who the audience is and what the effect is. Those kinds of stylistic devices really do matter because they get that point across of like, oh, this is a specific audience that they're trying to pertain to. So yeah, that is that. I'm gonna flash this right now, but I don't think we should go over this because this is a list of like devices that can be used in was this in text heavy text? Do I want to go through all of this? No. But is this kind of all self-explanatory? I think so. Like, does any of the stuff on screen not seem self-explanatory? I feel like a lot of this is, yeah, a lot of this is very much stuff we've already covered in, not even in IB, like before that. It's a lot of things that will come up. That's why it's so important to know these things in particular. Like I said, you don't have to know the specific word for a device, but at least knowing what the device is portraying, and by familiarizing yourself with that. Okay, stating related ideas in sentences, phrases, clauses with similar structures. It's kind of similar to the whole thing with the I have a dream speech where like these are the Lex, you think we remember? Sorry, I got distracted. What did I say? I'm so sorry. Okay, parallel structures. So, okay, I'm gonna take a moment to think. All right. So it's more of like making sure that the ideas are connected in a way that you know that they are connected together. Because the term parallel signifies that it's something that runs in course. So it's something that just leads naturally to the next. I would say though that in text heavy text, this is not as common. This is definitely not as common in the non-literary text. I would say the more important ones that you have to look out for are things like diction. Diction is everything. Like that conveys so much. That conveys tone, that conveys audience, that conveys a lot. Not gonna lie, guys, I have forgotten. I don't think they would cut you marks if you don't use the name of the device, but I think they would add more marks if you know the name of the device. Because in my opinion, if you can at least explain what it is and the effect and the evaluation, then you've already like scored the criteria. Yeah. As Git said, it's not a requirement, but it is something that helps. You and me, Git, we have the same brain cell right now. Slay. Yeah. Is there any word choice diction? Wait, what do you mean by that, Storm? I can take a bit of questions right now. Oh my god, we've been here an hour. I'm sorry, guys. I said it 35 minutes. I don't get what diction means. Diction is your word choice. Technically it hasn't been an hour actually because we spent like 20 minutes panicking over the internet, but in terms of diction, diction is the word choice. Yeah, like specific words are being used to convey a certain meaning. So, for example, you have I think someone said a while ago the whole love like thing. Yeah, yeah. So imagine someone says I love you versus I like you. Those convey very specific meanings, and that used in a text is word choice. Yes, don't worry. I've never heard of Kairos before I I made this presentation, which was in 2021. This part specifically. All right. So rhetorical appeals, guys. I'm gonna go over speeches because I love speeches. Side note: the activity later is a speech. So, okay. So what are rhetorical appeals? These are things that appeal to a reader's thoughts and emotions to convince them of something. It's very much about persuading a reader and appealing to them through knowing your audience. And as I said here, like me convincing you somehow that it was a good decision to come to my revision session, right? Like that is essentially by the start of this presentation, I have appealed to your ethos because I've established my credibility as a former LangLit helper and a former LangLit session leader. That in part is ethos because I'm establishing, oh, I know my shit, guys. I know what I've done. Me saying that I got a good-ish grade in English HL is also me saying, guys, come on, man. I'm doing so cool. That is an example of ethos. Sorry, this is out of order now. But yeah. So going off of that, if we appeal to logic, if I said that in a way that was more fact based, so like for example, this isn't real, but imagine that I've tutored like 50 out of 50 students and like 48 of them got sixes slash sevens on their English in under English grades. That is an appeal to logic specifically because I'm looking at the facts more. I'm looking like, oh, by the way, this happened in real life, etc., etc. This is the facts. This is the outcome. You guys decide to do with that now that you've seen the evidence specifically. Not that I tutor. I do not tutor. I have no time. I wish. Anyways, and then for emotion, if I appeal to you more as like an IB member, or like for example, for example, let's say like if I appeal to, how would I say this? Appeal to emotion. Yeah, if I appeal to you more on like an IB server member, which honestly I do try to do. Yeah, data pretty much is part of logos. If I if I implied more on the end of like I will get you guys to this and promise things, even though it's less of fact and it's less of credibility, it's more like, not to say empty promises, but it's more of like more emotive language is being used. That's pathos. The appeal is, yeah. So for example, I mean, to be fair, that's credibility. That's credibility. Because if I say like I'm a staff member, you should trust me. That's ethos. I'm arguing that I'm credible because the IB server has accepted me as a moderator. Also, my teacher had mentioned not to use diction, ethos, logos, pathos in the answer and rather explain them. They're right, yeah. It's because you should not be putting those terms specifically in the paper. You should be explaining those appeals instead through the textual evidence. So don't say there, oh, this person uses ethos. Instead say more, that's why I said like, as I said, you don't have to memorize the devices because it really is more on explaining the device and how it conveys the meaning. So yeah, don't outright say those things. Just talk about the word choice. Talk about how a certain device conveys a certain thingy. Yeah. I think Git basically just talked about Kairos in chat. We didn't even get there. But yeah, it's definitely a call to action. Yeah, I would agree with you that it doesn't need to be your main device. To be fair, when we think of paper one, there isn't really a main device. It's a bunch of devices all put together. And the topic sentences are more of ideas rather than devices. That's another thing, guys. Make sure your paragraphs, like the ideas surrounding paragraphs, they're not devices. Don't make it per device. Make it per specific message. Make it per specific meaning. I think that is a much better way to structure the paragraphs. Yippee! Do I need to state a particular type of diction as a formal term, or can I just say diction makes the reader feel emotional instead of I would say you don't even have to phrase it like that. You could just go straight to the textual evidence itself and go straight into how it makes a person feel. Although if that was what you were talking about, then yeah, it's pretty much the same that you look into. Oh yes, that is how it works. Yes, guys, if you can join the IB English guys, because they're an inspiration, man. Like, I have not actually watched their. Sorry, that is a tangent. You know what? We'll just talk about the IB English guys another time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I will, as I've said, Kairos call for action. Whoopoo. I hope I make English fun because that's the whole point. Okay, guys, we're at the activity. I just realized we're at the activity. Whoa! Okay, guys. Wait, are you guys able to see my screen? Because basically, this is the visual focused activity. I'm just gonna ask you guys to like make all the visual observations you can from this advertisement based on the visual elements that we've already discussed. Like, just drop it all down. Like, say what you talk here. Like, you can even talk about this big heading here. Would you guys prefer if I showed the actual image instead of this kind of simmered down image in the presentation? Because I have that loaded. Yeah, I do. But I think okay, I have it right here. I can zoom in and out specifically. Wait, I'll focus on this first. More doctors smoke camels than any other cigarette. Wow. Yeah, I can wait. Give me a second. Where's mute chat? Muted chat, come back. Sorry, there's so many channels in the server. Yeah. Give me a second. I will get to that. I just need to upload the thing. Oh Lord. Um. Give me a second. Yep. Okay. Uploaded in chat. Wait. There we go. Okay, hopefully that loads. What did Git say? Can the repetition of a where is that? Can repetition of a posture or picture in a cartoon oh wait, that's wrong. Can the repetition of a posture or pictures in a cartoon serve the same purpose as repeating words? As Git said, it's both yes and no. It's because they do serve the same execution of repeating something, but it's very much based on the context of it, right? If you think about it, a cartoon is visual, pictures are visual, repeating words is text, so it's much more emphasis on specific things. But in cartoons, it's less emphasized because especially in like advertisements, I don't think you'll really see that repetition. But if the emphasis is placed more on like positioning and foreground focus things rather than in what should I call this, rather than the actual repetition of an image again and again. Although that is possible in cartoons. Yeah, feel free, guys. It is 6 right now, so I can give you guys 5 minutes. Wow, I feel like a teacher. I promise it's not that bad. You guys can even just type in chat, like just be like, "Oh, the doctor looks weird." It can be like the most out of context answers ever. I don't need formal answers right now. I just need to see what your evaluation is of the images based on um what we've discussed already. Okay, Hori asks, you said not to use authorial choices in your topic question, rather take idea what? For something like a cartoon or advertisement or speech when the purpose extremely simple and often there's only one purpose, how would you create three different ideas? One wait, sorry, you're for something like a cartoon. To be fair, when I think about three different ideas, I'm saying less of the purpose and more like messages, because there is definitely like less than there's definitely sometimes just one clear defined purpose, but you can find multiple meanings and multiple messages that are being conveyed in that. And to be fair, if you really can't squeeze anything out of like that advert, then that's when you go into the last resort of devices, I would say. It's not about purpose, it's about how the content conveys meaning. I hope that makes a bit of sense. Yeah, it's not technically a break, but you guys can just type your chats there. Yeah, your chats. Why did I say your chats? Usage of doctor using camels as a reason to buy camels. Yeah, exactly. That was what I was thinking too when I was first looking at this. Like, why the usage of a doctor smoking camels than any other cigarette? And it's because doctors are assumed to be experts on health, right? So even just from the topic sentence alone, you can see that. Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Ethos, I think, is one of the main focuses of the ad in general. There's no question. You just need to list down any visual observations you can. Like, what do those visual elements discussed tell you about the image, about what the text hopefully conveys. It doesn't need to be something really formal. You can even say stuff like the old man looks creepy. That's fine. I don't need you to be really formal right now. The M and D is larger and made red. Yeah, exactly. It's thank you. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah. Thank you, Paul. Use of an old man to represent old age, as people don't live that long if they smoke. Use of yellow and red as their yeah. Damn guys, I feel like you're ready for the visual heavy texts. Like, damn, are there just visual art students in chat? Because like these are these are these are like good points to make specifically. Like the MD specifically, like I didn't actually think about that, and that was such a good damn. Y'all are crazy. Puts emphasis on the eyes as well because it forces you to look at it. Yeah, exactly. Cause he's looking kind of straight at you, right? He's like, ah, yes, you have to look at me right now. Yes, that's a good one. The cigarette pack is open to persuade the audience to take one. Let's go, visual arts students. I was not in visual arts, but I was in film. So go group six. Can we say women because they also represent innocence and in a sense of safety? Let me just look down there. Your T zone will tell you T for taste, T for throat. That's your proving ground for any cigarette. See if Camels doesn't suit your T zone to a T. Oh man, I could see that argument, Vinix, that the usage of a woman specifically in the latter image, especially because it's talking about something much more ominous, which is like the health hazards of like cigarettes. That's definitely something that puts into it. Yeah, trying to appeal to a broader audience. The yellow pamphlet next to the man makes him wait. Makes it where did that go? Yo, is that an anavor? You know, I could see that actually. Like T for taste, T for threat. And like if you look really closely at the text here, if you guys are still watching my stream, it says here, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" The brand name most was Camel. An exclamation point. Like it's so and like the repetition of Camel again and again through this little statement. I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. Like this was back when advertisements were in text and they were like Camel, Camel, Camel. The usage of the word, the rich, full flavor, and cool mildness, because it seems kind of contradictory here as well. Of Camel's superb blend, it just feels like it's romanticizing cigarettes. Like, oh man, this is a crazy ad. I love this. T zone to a T is a slogan. Memorable plus alliteration is kind of yeah. Those are good points to make. Like the usage of much more colorful language, not in the language way of like using swear words, but like the language is a lot less formal. It's a lot more happy. Like the language kind of conveys a sense of happiness really. Not like rich, full, cool, superb. Like those are words that really bring out positive feelings. Agreed. Man, I feel like I want to extend this to 610 because you guys have such good points. Can we talk about logical fallacies in paper 1? You could use that just as long as you really like put it to an evidence and you show why that logical fallacy is just to convey meaning. But I don't think it's that important. I don't think I've ever seen that even in the paper 1. Like in terms of logical fallacy, what would you even put there? Like specifically Storm, if you have a specific example of a logical fallacy that might come up, it might be more helpful. But yeah, in my opinion, like as long as you can evaluate something, then there's no reason to not talk about it. Yeah. It looks like the woman is trapped. It's trapped, just like me in college. I'm joking. You guys are on the brink of freedom. What text type is it? Why is that the question? It's an advertisement. It's an advertisement. Um, I think it's pretty clear actually that it's an advertisement because you know it's about cigarettes and there's the more doctors. Yeah, it's like, guys, don't do this to me. Specifically, those. I'm fine. Like I'm fine. To, they're also saying half truths. Like yeah, get yes, slay. Can you say something like the image of Sig's packets creates? Uh, yeah, yeah. Yes, duh. Like I saw your comment. Don't worry. Like you're making good points generally, all of you. Like I'm actually surprised with the amount of like points you guys are making because this is stuff that I wasn't really thinking about when I was first analyzing it on my own time. Yeah, yeah. That's absolutely something you could talk about. Like, oh, it's in the old age. Oh, it's this. Oh my god, I'm looking through my presentation and we still have so much to do. Okay, we have to cook, guys. We must cook again. We must cook again. Okay. So you guys can yeah, what's up? What's up, Git? Wait, no, you're not Git. Who is this? Abby. Okay, guys. Hold up. I'm gonna ask this to the people in the call right now. Are you guys actually okay with me having another session instead of dragging this out to be a full session one, paper one, and then yeah. Okay, so I guess I can do that though. Like I'm free on Saturday next week, so okay. All right, guys. So it's just paper one tonight. It's paper one tonight, guys. All right. Yeah, I realized that like at the start that I felt like I wouldn't have time, but my there's no paper three, please. Yeah, yeah. Um, paper two is prepared in this presentation right now, but yeah, I can hold a separate paper two session on Saturday next week. I will just no. There's no paper three. There's no paper three. Pause. You're fine. You're fine. We're all good. We don't got paper three. We only got IOs. We only got what do you guys have? HLEs, paper two. It's okay to get okay. Yay, guys! Yeah. So good news, everyone. The session is not going until 9 because good Lord knows that I ramble so much. Um, just make your own paper three. I don't want Langlit to have paper four, please. I would have to have 4 sessions. That is not what we want in this economy. Okay. I'm glad I'm a great teacher. I've been doing this for I don't know how long. This is like my fourth time. To be fair, I'm in education, but I don't know if that actually results in me. Okay. The HLE is bad. Okay, why am I saying the HLE is bad? I haven't even taken the HLE. Okay, back on track, guys. I will release a poll in chat later after the session, and I will upload this session in chat as well. But back to the paper one, so that we can hopefully finish before 7:30. Please, Lord, that's the max. Okay, so now we're actually gonna get to the third section of this bullshit, which is how the heck do we write a paper one? That's the max. I hope it ends at 7. Genuinely, yeah. That's the point, right? Like 2 hours. Like how can we outline properly? I know, right? I really did not do the 1 minute per slide thing. It's okay, guys. We got this. We got this. I'll if since this is a common time between all of us right now, I might do it again at the same time next week. Okay, back to the session. Here's your guide, and we are gonna go now to the actual meat, which is outlining and writing your paper one. Because how the hell do you do that? What does that mean? Okay, number one, vandalize your paper. Vandalize your paper. I'm joking. When I say vandalize your paper, I'm really saying that don't be afraid to write on the paper and actually do annotations. I'm not sure if there's gonna be scratch paper provided, but IB expects you to make an outline in some sense. So really, if you need to write on your paper to remember these essential points, then do it because that helps you with the paper. If you're ever not sure about writing on the paper, ask your proctor slash examiner or whoever's administrating the quiz. Quiz exam. Whoever's administrating the exam. It really helps because yeah, I've done the same before with mock paper ones. Vandalize that paper, guys. I'm how do you call this? I'm emphasizing the use of crime. I'm joking. Okay. So what is a point outline? Because I'm saying here, make okay, you've never annotated Math Supreme Leader, drop that in the doc in the doc that I have in Math English Language in M24 English Language because I can teach that. I can talk about that. I just cannot do that right now. But that's something that I can address in the FAQs for sure. Thank you, Git. Thank you. It's like I have a second session leader here. Okay. Okay, so back to the outline. Make a point outline. When I say point outline, it's really, as I said before, about the points that you want to make, the specific topics that you want to pursue in your paragraphs. So, of course, that you will know what you are writing, because if you don't know what you're writing, then why are you here? Why are you writing the paper? As I said, you don't have to have a min max of points, but I feel like it's not really focused on paragraphs. It's more like based on ideas for sure. I would say like 10 is a lot and 2 is too little. So anywhere from like 3 to like 5 is okay. Do not over stuff your essay and at the same time don't under stuff it. Those are things that you have to take into account when you're making a point outline. What is the main thing that you want to talk about in the essay? at the end of the day, you will have to chop off some ideas. Yeah, big ideas. By big ideas, do you mean like what exactly do you mean by big ideas specifically? Four, four big. Yeah, I think that's a good point to make. Like 3 to 4, in my opinion, is already pretty solid. If it's full ideas. Yeah, 3 to 4 is good. And yeah, as said here, do not focus on the content only. Focus on how the content is being relayed. It is not just about what is being said, but why it's being said and how it's being said. What would an example of a big idea be? For example, from the ad we saw a while ago. So I think someone made the idea that the usage of a doctor in the advertisement gives off, oh well, the usage of the doctor in the advertisement makes the claim of ethos more compelling. Like it gives a sense of credibility to Camel's the cigarette brand. That can be a big idea that like, oh yes, this certain visual imagery is the one that is conveying a sense of credibility, a sense of forthrighteousness, and like something that must be right in all of its terms, because essentially it's resting on the assumption that people do not think that cigarette smoking is cool slash good. So by using a doctor in the ad, they're trying to counter that narrative. Does that make sense? Please let me know if that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Kit. Sorry, I'm not British, I promise. Okay. So, yeah, I pretty much said this already, honestly. Like, it's really about how it's conveying certain messages. It's about the subtleties of also of the messages that are implied. This is something that I've learned from TOK, and it's also something that can be applied to both paper one and paper two of LangLit. It's that implications are needed. If you look at what the IB English guys say, they say you need implications. When we talk about implications, it's about looking beneath. Get I'm a TOK helper, guys. I'm a TOK helper. I have to. Even in paper two, you're gonna see TOK reference. No, guys. I'm not trying to traumatize you. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, it still applies in paper one. You still need to talk about the bigger picture of the message and the context of the audience and um and the author itself. That is Wait, sorry, something happened. That is part of the implications. Okay, let me just look through here. I'm sorry, I'm a TOK helper, so I learned something from TOK, unfortunately. Hi, really, the paper 2 session is not today, thankfully. It will be next week. Yay! As decided by the class. As decided by the class. Okay. And next week I will make sure that that my internet is not my internet, that the Discord is working, because oh man, the stage was not giving. Okay. And as I said before, I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but I feel like this is also common sense, right? You don't need to spend too much time on your outline. So, SL students, please do not use the whole 30 minutes to write your outline. At some point, you will have to put those thoughts into practice. Use your reading time of 5 minutes very wisely, and then use like around 15, yeah, 15 to 20 minutes of like using that outline, like putting it down, like, ah, yes, these are the points that I found, these are the things I want to do. Use it wisely, because at the end of the day it's the execution that matters more. So I know there are some people that are like, if you over prepare in the outline, then you could probably do better on the essay, but also it might make you, what if you want to actually change your idea around the way, then it might actually not be good in that way. Oh, how many words? Don't think about it in terms of words. They're not gonna look at word count for sure, for sure. Just look at it through main ideas. As I said before, 3 to 4 ideas that are explored in depth. That is the amount of words that you would like to write, and then one. Why did I say 1 to 2? Intro conclusion. What could be another example of a main idea from the previous ad? As I was saying a while ago, the whole thing about the doctors and the credibility, that's still an example of a main idea. When I say main idea and big idea, it's both the same thing. Like, it's still a main topic. I'm just using synonyms for it. how do you go further in depth in a main idea? You talk about the other devices that are being used to convey it. So as we said before, right, is the doctor is being used for credibility. So what are the specific things here that showcase why? So for example, we could look at the text. What cigarette do you smoke, doctor? The brand named most was Camel. That's something that you can cite, that it's leading to that air of credibility that they asked the doctor, and then that's what they said. Credibility. The whole more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Just the repetition itself of both the word doctors and the word camels is something that can be talked about in that slash paragraph slash stuff. This one also here. If we look at the text here, it's literally like a little biography of the doctor. He's one of the busiest men in town. While his door may say office hours 2 to 4, he's actually on call 24 hours a day. The doctor is a scientist, a diplomat, and a friendly, sympathetic human being all in one, no matter how long and hard his schedule. It's not just like it's not just establishing credibility through ethos as previously stated, but it's using now a much more emotional appeal to show you that hey, Camels is a good brand. You should buy this product because this doctor is this person, and it might just be because of Camels. And he smokes Camels. He's a good person. He smokes Camels, therefore Camels is good. It's a superficial connection on the end of Camels, but it's still something that you can talk about in the text. Okay. Um, Wait, sorry, there's a lot of questions. Which one? Okay, can how would you develop a topic sentence on this? And okay, sorry, Rizhi. Are you talking about the doctor's thing? When I okay, when you could just say something along the lines of um the by topic sentence, do you mean like a summarizing statement of the whole article or just a main idea? Because there's a difference. Sorry, I hope I'm making sense here. Like the introduction of the paragraph. Oh, we're gonna look into that in a bit, but just to, I guess, spoil you, in terms of the introduction, it's more of looking through it as a condensed version of tap dance. The introduction is not just a topic sentence. The introduction is much more spread out than that. And you can use tap dance to convey all those types. So you can talk about the text type, you can talk about the audience a little bit, and then you can transition it into the main ideas that you will look at in your essay. I hope that makes a bit more sense. Yeah. I will go a bit more into that in the thingy. Okay, we're here. Okay. I said 1 to 3 sentence introduction here, but it also doesn't need to be super uh whoopoo. It doesn't need to be super short either. By thesis statement, I'm talking about something that sums up all the main points. So for example, in the ad of the doctor, we can just say something the doctor is establishing credibility. Let's say that that was a main idea that we focused on, but because my brain is dead, let's say that's also the thesis statement right now, and we've discovered more devices that go along as main ideas to their content. That is what the thesis statement is, where it's summarizing stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna get through that. That's okay, Lizzie. Yeah. I will get into the intro after this. Promise. It's literally the page right after. Okay. So for each paragraph, please make sure you're including at least one detail from the text as evidence before going into it. Because if you have a main idea and then you just start talking about the idea without actually showing where that is gonna manifest itself in the text, then it's kind of useless, as I've said before. Textual evidence and the points that you make must go hand in hand. So just remember that you have to put those textual evidences alongside what do you say in the text? Right. Sorry. Sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I hope you guys don't mind as well. I would say that in terms of the body, just if you need to be as detailed as possible, please be as detailed as possible. Your analysis and the context needed to understand that analysis, it is very essential to meeting the criteria. It's essential to clarity. It's essential to understanding and interpretation. It's important to evaluation as well. Repetition legitimizes, in the words of Yes, you are very right, Lizzie. Repetition is key. Probably someone smart. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I'm sorry. I mentioned TOK again, guys. Don't mock my accent. I'm not British. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the English people in chat. I'm so sorry. Okay. As I said before, implications, guys. IB isn't looking for a point by point essay of the features. It's not just about. I'm not American. I wish I was. Point by point essay of the features. This is because you're not just supposed to list down the features one by one. When I first started writing essays, it was very much the text type of this is a speech. The audience is this. The something is this. Something is this. Like it's very it that feels like a point by point thing, right? You're looking through each element of tap dance and just listing it, but it's not actually analyzing or evaluating it. It's real. Remember that the analysis of the choices made and its wider subtleties. When I'm talking about subtleties, I'm talking about the details in the authorial choices that convey meaning. That's part of the criteria. Do not just info dump your features and call it a day. Remember, those features gotta have meat to it. You can't just have like a raw meat in there. Anyways, for the whole is Lex American, European, I am neither. I'm Asian. I'm Asian. Wow. Yeah. I'm in the eastern side of the world. Okay. Um, so state the meaning of each point, even in the intro. This doesn't go for the intro because the intro is literally your first impression. It's just your handshake into the essay, in the words of the IB English guys. It's more so for the body where you want to look at that point. So in the intro, you give your first taste. It's like the cold open of a sitcom episode. That's the intro. You're wanting the audience to see what the main meat of your essay is about without actually giving anything away, without spilling the milk away. Yeah, like the appetizer of a meal, exactly. That's what the intro is. And the actual meal where you put in that analysis and evaluation as ingredients is the actual essay, the body. And as I said here, yes, the goddamn salad. Anyways, and as I said here, transitions. Transitions are important. I don't know why I said it like that. Transitions. Would contextualizing the text a lot be a problem, or would it just be a waste of time? What do you mean by this? Whoever is speaking, just text in muted chat one, so I'm not as distracted. I don't think. Yeah, just text in muted chat one. Thank you. What do you mean by this, Yag? What do you mean by contextualizing the text a lot? Like in terms of context, like talking about the background of a text. Like if you want to make a point. Okay, wait. Me thinking. Because, okay, and use a piece of evidence. Oh, are you saying like if you put too much evidence? Like in terms of evidence? Brain cells are being used, yeah. It's crazy. And you need to contextualize the evidence itself. Um, yeah, I don't think you have to add too much description to the evidence. Yeah. Thank you, Rizu. Yeah. I don't think you need to describe the evidence being used unless it's a visual element. So, for example, if it's like the color of something and how it conveys it, then yeah, you would have to describe the visual element. But if it's a textual element, if it's just words, then you just quote it, and then that goes as the evidence itself, and you don't have to explain anything else beyond that. Agreed. Yeah. It's less because at the end of the day, the essay is not descriptive; it's evaluative. Yeah. Yeah, we stand chat. Chat, you're doing great. When are you guys gonna be session leaders? I'm joking. Okay. Um. All right. Transitions. That's the last point of this little thingy. Matt Supreme Leader, put it in the doc. Put in the doc. Yeah, because it's more in like clarity and yeah, clarity. Um, it's I wouldn't say it's the most important thing, but grammar is important, guys. Please remember that at the end of the day, that's kind of an academic paper. So you're not required to be entirely formal. Like you can put your own voice into it, but you have to remember when it's appropriate. Um, Storm, I'll get to your question a bit. Not just punctuation. Um, it's also like the choice of words. Like don't be too um colloquial with it. Yeah, Storm, you can just put it in the doc. Yeah, that would be much more. Hey, yeah, please do not be, please do not be like that. Hey, baby girls, today I will analyze the silly text, girly pop, etc., etc. No, don't say for real in text. Don't say it's giving. Please don't say it's giving. It's giving that the author is, and then you have a good point, but you say it's giving. Please, don't say it's giving. Also, Phoenix, why? I'm Abby, I'm trying to explain what you should not do in the paper one. Do not say it's giving. Do not say girly pop. It's giving Gen Z. It's, it's giving ethos. It's giving credibility. It's giving that the doctors are okay. No, no, that's that. No, no, no more. Back to transitions. Um, when I talk about transitions, I'm talking about the flow of paragraphs and how you go from paragraph to paragraph. Please make sure that hopefully your next paragraph leads to the next one. Do they say that? Sorry, this is a tangent, but do the IB English guys say, "Oh, this is it's giving." Okay, the quote is okay. Okay, no, that's enough. Okay, that's writing your essay. I'm gonna not look at chat ever again. Yeah. Alright, guys. Intros and conclusions scare me. I've seen many things about the intros and conclusions in chat. You guys might be scared about the intros and conclusions. That's okay. I am also scared of the intros and conclusions, but we're gonna get through it together. So the intro. I'm honestly just taking this from a video of IB English guys, but I think it's been a while. But anyways, you don't necessarily have to start with a hook, but if you can start with a hook. And even if it's just one sentence, that's gonna be enough. Make sure that the hook relates to the text. It doesn't need to be super catchy. It just needs to be something that's appropriate for the text. You guys, please. Okay. And then you would probably transition it into a summary of the things we've discussed before with tap dance. That's why I feel like tap dance is such a good method for for deconstructing a paper one, because you can literally just put all the elements into one or two, 1 to 3 sentences in the intro after your hook, and then transition it into the next point, and that's literally a good introduction because that covers a lot of the elements. I don't know if you were here before, but this is in the presentation and the recording, but that's my method of analyzing paper one texts. So God. Text type, audience slash author are the A's. Um, you know what? I don't remember it right now, but it's in the presentation. Yeah, you can look at the Canvas link, which is pinned in English LangLit. But yeah, you could say that. Pause. You could say, why do people smoke cigarettes? And then this article, this advertisement, something something something. Yeah, that can be a hook. I mean, I'm not saying it's like the best hook ever, but like it could be a hook. Like I don't have the brain power to come up with like a witty one, but it's something there. Yeah, you did, man, you did. Okay, on to the next point. Do not spill the milk when the milk hasn't even been spilt. I know I've been doing that throughout this whole revision session, but remember that the introduction is supposed to be short and concise. Please condense tap dance when you're looking at those main points in the intro. It's not supposed to be your thorough analysis yet. Just put down your ideas and then transition it to the next to your body. That's pretty much what a good intro should be. Um, I think the IB English guys referred to it as a handshake, as like a first impression. And yeah, I would say the same thing. It's like a first taste. It's your first cold open. Like make sure that it catches the attention, but it doesn't give you all the deets about the episode. Okay. As for the conclusion, as for conclusion. And then as for the conclusion, it's less now of a summary, which was I guess something that the introduction was about, but it's now a synthesis. Synthesis. What's a synthesis? It's a combination of all these points. It's the bigger idea that you then get from what you've pointed out in your essay. It doesn't need to be something like super insightful or super big, but now that you've analyzed all of these parts of the essay, what can you then conclude about why the author is um conveying this in a certain way? Basically, you know what? Yeah, it's like mastering all four of the elements. Sure. The conclusion is like being the avatar. You synthesize all of them. It's like if you did blood bending. That's an example of synthesis right there. Oh my god. Please, not the soundboard. Okay, it's all right. But it's really about focusing back on that thesis statement that you had in the introduction and then drawing those implications from there. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Oh yeah, like a recap. It doesn't need to be a recap exactly. It's more on the sense that it will sum up what's been said, maybe in just one sentence, but it doesn't have to go on and forever. Like previously, we talked about this point and this point and this point and this point. To be fair, recaps don't actually give a sentences. It just tells you the events as what happened. So it's a bit more different from that, I would say. Like it's, you know what? Yeah. I'm not gonna say your full username, but yeah, person with the person in the picture who said today we have learned that friends, yeah, that's kind of it, man. That's kind of it. Yeah. That's pretty much how I would say it works. Okay, and then finally, this idea of book ending, which I got from the IB English guys. Guys, attend their rev session also. Book ending is when you put something in that introduction, and then I mean you put okay, I'm gonna answer that math supreme leader after this. Give me a second. Okay. So book ending is when you put something in your introduction, like a specific phrase that you feel would encapsulate the whole argument. So for example, if it's the ad again, we can just say again the credibility, the doctor using a doctor in the advertisement, or like making the doctor the main subject of the advertisement ensures credibility for Camel. If you put a similar phrase that encapsulates that idea in the conclusion, then it's kind of just tying it all back together, right? It's kind of like that recap. Questions on the doc just poof. If they entirely poofed, I should be able to get them back though, because there's version history. But yes, okay. By having something, okay. So the book end is kind of that phrase in common that ties the ribbon across your whole essay into a little bow. You know, yeah, that's pretty much something like that. Whoever is deleting the questions, please do not delete the questions. Like I should be able to get the questions back, but that's still a hassle, especially on the people who wanted those questions answered. So please don't do that. Okay. Yeah, I have a Google Forms open. I have Google Forms open. It's in the chat. I think it's still open. Yeah, I haven't ended responses for the Google form. It's pinned in Langlit. I would, but Vinix basically, yeah, that's kind of it, where it kind of wraps itself very neatly because of that. Okay, for Matt Supreme Leader slash haiku as well. Oh man, um, I wouldn't say you would say that because I feel like that's very reflective. I don't think that the analysis is supposed to be reflective unless you're saying it in an evaluative way. Um, when I say evaluative, it's more on if you're doing it objectively. If you say like, "Oh, it's just your view," then, and I'm sorry to say this, it's suddenly becoming a TOK essay. You're talking about your own personal experience now. Okay, pause. You can send your notes. Sure, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry guys. I had to drop the TOK reference because yeah, that's a difference. At the end of the day, it's an academic essay and it's specifically not a reflective essay. It's an analysis of the text. Um Not really personal opinion, but you can use like we, cuz what if you're part of the audience? You can be part of the audience. So you can use we, but I wouldn't say use first person very often. The essay still has to be objective. Yeah, what like I said before, the whole usage of the word we, like we are shown that something 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 through this text something something something. Yeah, I agree, Rizzy. It really is the execution of certain things. Okay, but yeah, wait, let me see. Is this actually. Oh my gosh! Okay, guys. Okay, so how do we bring in a personal opinion in a third perspective? It's not really that it has to be entirely third perspective, Vinix. um it's more like majority of the essay, specifically the body, and I guess the introduction should be third perspective. But when you look at the conclusion and you're starting to talk about implications, you can shift it then maybe in 1 to 3 sentences about the larger implication of we, because we are also the audience. I mean, you read the text, so you are part of the audience now, and that's where you can bring in that first person, and that's where you can bring in that personal opinion. But it's only for that little bit, because at the end of the day, you are allowed to have your own voice in the paper one. It's just that your own voice should not overthrow the actual content that you're trying to evaluate and analyze. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, guys, we are at the almost end of the presentation. We're going into the activity now, guys. That's a TOK thing, Matt Supreme Leader. That's a TOK thing. So should you ideally not do that? I wouldn't say that. Um, no, I wouldn't say that it's unideal to do that. I would say that it's an option, but not something that's unideals. It's so that's my answer to your question, Rizhi. And then Matt Supreme Leader, the reason why I said that's kind of TOK is because TOK at the end of the day is very much a synthesis of the claims that you make, right? So you can also challenge your own ideas that you raise through TOK, which is something that happens. But you don't need to challenge your ideas in the analytical paper one, because you're just reviewing a text. There's no arguments to be made on opposing sides. It's literally just an evaluation and analysis of the authorial choices. You could say that there are different interpretations, but you could still synthesize that all together. Does that make sense? Any more questions? Because we will get to the activity. Am I an Omori player? Why are we talking about whether I'm an Omori player? Yes. Oh, shut up. I am an Omori player, but I do not see how that's relevant. Did I? I forgot if I did. Okay. If I did, then that's great. My Omori knowledge came in handy. Okay. Guys, this is the last thing. Um, so this is the activity now. So after this activity, we can go to more questions, but I have a thing for y'all, and this is gonna be 20 minutes, so it's 18:42 right now. Okay, where's muted chat one? Oh, muted chat one, where are you? Um, okay. You're not gonna do anything bad. Pause. It's not that bad. You're not gonna like make a whole essay in 20 minutes. Okay, so in the chat, I put a lecture from the Nobel Peace Prize by this journalist named Maria Ressa. It's a speech. The text type is a speech, and basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna read that text for 20 minutes, and you're gonna outline possible points. You're just gonna like make your thesis statements. You're gonna look at like what certain things would you want to point out in the text. And here's the optional question that is on screen. How does Reza use rhetorical appeals, because there's a lot of rhetorical language used, to convey the role of truth in a world of misinformation? Because essentially, the context is that she's being awarded for journaling the death of democracy in a country where democracy is dying. Because in the Philippines there is, yeah, there's a lot of war, there's a lot of extrajudicial killings. I'm sorry if that's a heavy topic, but that the speech doesn't talk about it that much. It's really more on the idea of integrity, truth, and press freedom, especially in a time where the information landscape is more vast than ever and misinformation is free. So yeah, it is 6:44 right now. I will give you guys 20 minutes to just look through it and just chat and chat whatever you find. It doesn't need to be super in depth. It can just even be your own opinions. I just want to see the kinds of points you make, because you guys were really at it a while ago with the advertisement. So this is a text heavy text now. So I wonder how you guys will approach that. Also, for anyone out there, yes, I am Filipino. That is my Asian nationality. Yeah, I'm yeah, that's why. So like for Southeast Asian gang, your the time right now is the literal exact same time. It's the 45th of the hour of the 6th. So yeah. And honestly, I just really love this speech. Yeah. That's okay, honestly, yeah, because the session is about to end. Like this is the last one, and then you guys can ask me more questions. This is pretty much the last part because the next thing is is paper two, but that's next week now. Let's go, Aussie gang! Oh, 2 hours ahead. So wait, is this Eastern ASC? Yes, let's go, countries. I'm glad there's a lot of diversity in the chat. It was so scary trying to find a common time because I don't. We have to. I don't know. I don't like not the emphasis on B and the. Am I? We have to believe the. I would actually say this is a less of a Langlet thing and more of a speech thing though. Um, the original speech of Maria Ressa in the Nobel Peace Prize, where she actually says it, is a lot more engaging than the transcript because of that. Like, why? Why is the text capitalized? You can send it at any point, by the way, guys. You can send your points at any point. Like, I'm gonna read it out. Um, I mean, you guys can take time to read the article though, because yeah, it's quite a bit long. That's why I gave you guys a bunch of time. I can't believe we actually finished this in time. Crazy. Yeah. Be the good in the world. Emphasis on the belief there. You guys are making me want to wait. Can I actually change my nickname to Believe There? Believe There allows the audience to believe. I will do it. Sure, sure. It's my nickname. It's my nickname. I can change my nickname. It's my China wants to have a word with you. Oh God. You staff, you got the power. Imagine actually having power. Bah! Okay, okay, wait, how do I do this? What is my name? What was the emphasis again? It's crazy. The way I'm actually okay. Believe there. Wow, that's wonderful. Okay. God, iPads, I swear. Okay. Sorry gang, I'm not looking at chat right now, so if you're saying things, I'm not looking at them, but give me a second. Oh shoot. The way I'm actually, you know what? No, it's fine. I'll do the nickname later. That's more important. Okay. They added a stage direction. At the start, they list a bunch of journalists and real life events, especially lots of recent. Yeah, that I think that's actually a good point to make. Um, because she is a journalist, not just in local news in the country. She's a journalist for CNN. Yeah, I really wish this was a play. It would have played out a little better. At at the start, they list a bunch. Yeah, that's a good point, Lettuce. Shakespeare. It's all good, Vinix. Thank you for coming, people. By holding up the holding up the t-shirts and lets the people be free, believe in their independence, and now holding it represents a new beginning. Alicia, I swear, I have to give you a 7 for that. Oh my god. Right? Oh man. Like like I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's giving them IGCSE TikToks. GCSE TikToks. Well, it really is. Like you guys Oh man. And at the very least, even if you guys aren't too um not aren't too, but like some things don't make sense in the article, it's still nice to discuss it. Or like things like even if it's in a comedic way, at least we're seeing that like, oh yes, these are the flaws, quote unquote, in the art in the transcription of the speech specifically. Those are things that we can also find meaning in. Short, simple, and direct sentences, direct and confronting tone. Let us, you're slaying. Let us, you're slaying. Damn. Let us, you're November 2025 and you're slaying this early. Why are you like this? Like, if you're slaying now, you're gonna slay even more. It's the holidays. It's the not loss of brain cell. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's a lot. Like, if you guys want, this can be like a take home thing. You can just like read it in your own time. Let us. You're giving. And Jericho, wouldn't it also appeal to pathos? The audience sympathizes. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that actually, for trying to hold the line. Because in the actual, this is more of a speech thing, but when I look at the actual audience reaction, it was very much an emotional appeal moment. Pause, what am I looking at? Vandalize your paper! Don't die! I'm glad those are the notes you took from this. Like, I'm glad those are what. Yes, I'm glad you have such beautiful notes. Yes, Git, you can message me later. Of course you can. You know what? Everyone in this VC, you have my permission to message me later and tell me all your thoughts. Because I know that people might have things to do. People might want to go to the other revision session. That's all fine. Just take the article with you. Keep it in your thoughts or your brain cell. One Slay Queen? Okay. What effect does varying sentence length have on the reader? If it's longer, it makes the I feel like they both emphasize importance, but shorter sentences specifically convey that importance much more. Because it means that even in the short, simple way, this is the thing that matters right now. But in this thing, so like over here, Letta says like the whole without facts you can't have truth, without trust you can't have trust, without truth you can't have trust. That's a long concept to go around, but because of the varying sentence length where it's like caught up in parts, you're still able to see the clear connection with it. When it's a long sentence, like a runoff sentence, it conveys a sense of like, is this gonna end? Why is it so run off? It's like an information overload. It's like this thought is so consuming in your head. I feel like at least for me, that's how um the varying sentence lengths convey meaning. Not just in this text, but in a variety of texts, Yag. Sorry if I don't see your comments sometimes, because yeah, it gets drowned out sometimes. So thank you for putting in the effort to ping me. Yeah, pretty much. It's very much it. That is something that you can put it to. Okay, let me look through the things already said. Speech starts with her saying that her struggles and points represent those of every journalist in the world. Saying at the start increases, yeah, highlights, yeah, because this is not just something that's happening in the Philippines, it's also happening everywhere. And because she cites these specific examples, you're forced to confront the reality of the situation. That's not just journalists in the Philippines, it's journalists all over the world. Yeah, trust is absolutely a motive. Like that is something, trust and truth is definitely a motive throughout this speech. I really like the usage of trust and truth. This is psychology notes, by the way, not English. Okay. Next, could you give the example of a point so I can make one? Like how to structure it. So for example, I think some people already talked about the repetition of certain words. So, for example, there's the theme of truth in Maria Resa's speech. So you could say the words this, that, and then quote unquote use are used to convey credibility, are used to appeal to the audience in terms of this is an issue that is not just affecting people here in this room and not just affecting me, the journalist, but also affecting people outside that context, people all across the globe. It's conveying a sense of we're all in this together. Not that I would say it in the actual thing, but because my brain cell is kind of dumb right now, it's conveying a sense of unity. Like it's something that we all have to play our part in. Those are ideas of like points you can make. You can just brainstorm what are the things that someone is trying to say here, and then you go through with that. Okay, what else here? Oh, so we got some personification of a country, as in losing its soul, some exaggeration, and also some lovely religious connotations. It would not be the Philippine. It would not be a Filipino talking about this if there weren't religious connotations. I swear. Yeah, I would agree, Rizzy. Length is short. Oh, get bye. I love you. You're so cool. Thank you for being my second session leader. Slay, slay indeed. What time do we start? 45. Okay, I will end this at 7:05. um you guys can take the article with you anyways, because I will just post it in chat, and I will I'll leave the quotes doc open. The quotes doc, sorry, the questions doc. You guys can paste your questions there instead of me answering it right now, because I think I can actually answer it in the next section. Antithesis. In the first sentence, the instruction is, guys, y'all are so good. Like, please, you're giving these good. You're giving. Sorry, the brain cell is not working, but y'all, as in, yeah, there are too many people are making good points, so I cannot list all of you, but sure. Okay, so now is repeated anaphora, and it creates a tone of urgency and importance, appeals to kairos. Yeah, yes, exactly. That is absolutely kairos, and that was what I was thinking of when I was first reading this article. That last line was definitely a call to action. Inclusive language. Yes, actually, that's something you can talk of. Like, what does the language in general feel here? Is it inclusive? Is it exclusive? Is there certain people that are being excluded from that? Yeah, exactly, Rizzy. That is a very good point to make. It's very much made so that people who all have the technical terms can understand the deeper connotations Ressa is putting forward, but also it's a Nobel Prize speech. She's gonna have to like dumb it down, not really dumb it down, but make it more accessible for the peoples. Visionary imagery. The call to imagine the world as it should be uses sensory image. Yeah. Use of we and together. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Antithesis in the first sentence, the description. Damn. Y'all have good stuff. Um yeah. I'll probably you guys can keep typing, but I will probably end my stream here. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and ask. But I am gonna end stream here. This is technically the end of the revision session, but I mean, if you want to stay and like talk about the article more, I'm so down for that. Yeah. And yes, I will eat dinner first, but I will be posting an updated stuff about paper 2, the things in chat later after this. So, yeah. For a point, could I talk about how the journalist tries to convince the audience and why she is not spreading misinformation? Because in the topic sentence it says there is misinformation around the world. Yeah, that could be like a kind of evading thing, especially because okay, this is the deeper context, but she talks about this in the article anyways. She's talking about how she was arrested for libel in the Philippines. So to use that language to say that she is also not spreading misinformation, that is something that you guys can talk about. Old versus new sort of thing. Illusion is to old gold. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, this was something that I was thinking about when I was looking at the um old at the speech before. Like the idea of virus of lies. It's such strong language, don't you think? Like it sounds like it's a sickness pitting us against each other. The emotive language is genuinely giving. I'm not gonna say that in an essay, I promise. That's just how I'm saying it right now. It's giving. I'm I'm falling down. When do you stop writing a paragraph and think, okay, I've done enough and move on? You'll know you've done enough if you feel like you've covered your bases on a focused topic. So when I think about a paper one, you can't talk about all the parts of the paper one. You cannot list feature by feature, of course, but there can be an overarching theme to your paper one, like the overarching idea that you want to focus on, and then you find your 3 to 4 main points from that. Um, when you stop writing a paragraph and think, okay, I've done enough for the 6 and 7, you have if you have the textual evidence there, if you have the critical analysis of the textual evidence in relation to devices there, and if you've specifically evaluated how the author is using those choices to convey certain meaning. When you have those 3 points in line, I feel like that's when you can say, "Yippee! Next question," or well, next paragraph. Giving such virus vibes. Maria Nessa is rizzing up the reader by giving such slave vibes about journalists. I know that's it. That's pretty much it. It's no problem, Matt. Supreme leader. Yeah, okay. That honestly, guys, that is pretty much the end of the session. Unless you guys have any more ideas, not just ideas, questions you have in chat. Yeah, just put it in muted chat one. I can answer them. But yeah, wow, we ended at 7. I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm basically just saying if you guys have any more questions, then you can ask away. But if you don't, then the session is pretty much over. Yeah, I'm glad it gave vibes. I'm gonna end the stream, the recording right here.